So I went from this to this, counting all the days that I fell back on my diet, all the days that I skipped training for no particular reason other than feeling demotivated by my progress. And yet, my most radical and noticeable changes have been seen in the span of the last 6 months of this year. And this is not to show off or gloat or, kind of make a vanity play, but it's to show people that are dealing with these struggles with their weight, with their fat loss journeys, or hitting certain plateaus on their fitness journeys, that it is not rocket science and it does not need to take you half a decade to figure out how exactly to get there. It's the same general principles of dieting, of training, and building a foundation of habits to anchor those two key things that can help you reach your fitness goals as well. And that's what I'll be talking about, but also sharing my journey along the way that has helped me build a well-rounded mindset to approach my fitness journey. So now I would say November 2020, COVID was a blessing in disguise. I was able to lose about 20 kilograms. So I went from 108 to about 88 kilograms. And I was following most generic advice on the internet, which was eat less and move more. I just held the mindset that if I was doing an egregious amount of cardio, eating the smallest portions of food, even certain days when I was going fully fasted. I mean, 24 hours of fasting and just relying on like green tea and water. That's what I thought would shed the weight. I mean, it did work to a certain extent, but it was not as direct that as my mind had put it to be. I was still putting in the work. I was super dedicated, and I want to pride myself in that, putting in the discipline and showing up each and every day, regardless of what I looked. And given that it was COVID time, I had this so much time on my hands. I had begun uni, yes, but it was mostly online. So I had a bit of space within my day to accommodate a fitness journey that could even last certain days training, 2 days, 2 days, 2 times in a day. Oh my gosh. Yeah, 2 times in a day, just going super hard. And then just blessed by God for the fact that He put in me this kind of mindset where I could not give up even if I wanted to like crazy. Like Sundays was super difficult. Now you see, along the way as I lost weight, some people start to realize that you have lost weight, especially your family members. They'll keep you throwing these compliments. It might not even sound like compliments, but there's this thing in African households where they will always notice a shift in your weight through your appearance. So be like, oh, your stomach has gotten flat, things like that. But usually back in the day, it will be like, oh my God, what are you eating? I was like, what are you eating? I'm just like, guys, come on, there's feelings in here. So it was a thing like that. And luckily, the compliments used to keep propelling me to even push myself even further and further. But by this time, I hadn't yet gotten into a professional gym. So in 2021, I actually discovered a gym. That's when I started to see noticeable development in my muscle, but I wasn't applying a very science-based approach. It was more of bro science, where I was looking into my idols, the golden era boys of like Arnold Schwarzenegger, or even current bodybuilders like Sebum, and seeing what they are doing, what kind of techniques they are applying through their diet, through their training, and also applying that. A myth I fell for was the fact that everyone who goes to the gym needs to be shaking this milky liquid protein shakes. And I also just copped one. I remember 2021 January is when I bought my first protein tab. It was whey protein by USN. And I used that throughout the 3 months when I was in the gym, really pushing hard. And I just thought that that's what's keeping me here. That's what's going to push me to be as big as these guys. But obviously, that's a bit flawed. But I can't lie. I was running a bro split. So I was training like one muscle group each day. And yeah, the muscle definition, as I had said, was really coming out at a certain point. But the problem with this kind of approach is that it's not really rooted in what the most effective techniques for developing muscle or just burning fat in general are. So after a certain while, the compliments got into my head, start getting attention from girls that you have never gotten before, or like people who are asking you how exactly you are achieving these kinds of fitness feats. So I got into an ego trap. Now, 2024 was when I realized that, okay, I have become a bit too complacent, and I've let this whole thing of the fact that I lost 20 kgs initially get to my head, and I became comfortable. I was just like lifting, and then maybe I'd go on a diet for like 3 days and then go off 2 days, go on a diet 3 days. And I would certain times maybe I would fast and assume that I've lost all the weight I had accumulated over a span of a week in one day. Certain things like that. I was going by so much gut feeling and myth, which is not bad. Everyone has their way of doing things, but knowing my kind of body type that is more susceptible to become fat again, I should have known even better. So in 2024, I decided to run an aggressive cut, but it wasn't the type where I was completely putting out cheat days. I was having 5 days on a diet and then 2 days on off the diet. I was having two cheat days over the weekend, which is insane if you ask me right now, because it used to make me overblow my total calorie deficit for the week on certain days, and I was just not exposed to very good quality food. So I ran my first aggressive cut last year in 2024, within about April to June of 2024. Then I lost like until 80 kilograms. So it was about a 10-kilogram loss from 91 kgs to about 80 kgs. So I ran that until, yeah, until June. And then it's like I was kind of on and off because I now got a bit complacent again. I mean, pants were fitting different. I was a smaller waist size. But of course, still, I didn't have the kind of definition I had always wanted within my abdominal section, at least. So come this year, I was like, what would happen if I actually went all in? I put aside all cheat days. I did everything right for a period of 3 months. So this was I got this idea in March 2025. I was like, let me learn everything there is to nutrition, to the kind of training I'll need to make sure that I'm retaining as much muscle mass as I can, but also shedding off as much fat as I can, right? So I went in, I did the research, I created a plan, I ran that for 3 months, and then that's what got me to the level that it is today. So once I realized that these things to do with fitness are actually rooted in general principles that anyone must follow, that's when I realized this is not actually rocket science. It just needs a very disciplined approach. And that's what brings me to the pillars of the 1% standard kind of coaching program that we are trying to develop and try and bring to you guys, people who are dealing with these kinds of struggles, to help you along the way and hold your hand through your fitness journey. So number one principle is that actually forms the entire ethos of the brand is Kaizen. Kaizen is a Japanese philosophy that I learned back in business school that simply means continuous 1% improvement each day. Because if you think about it in a way that, imagine you wanted to read one book a week like Bill Gates or something, the goal would sound so far to reach, right? I mean, one book a week, how are you going to fit over 400 pages into your schedule within one week? But what if you just aimed for 1 minute a day? Just sit down, read a book for 1 minute a day. The beauty of this is that it gives you momentum. The fact that you are checking something off your to-do list, like at least I actually read a few words. You might find the most knowledge within the book is within that first page, that whole 80-20 principle. You get your first page in, that will push you, give you momentum to even progress towards that one book a week goal that you want to set. The second principle is using systems over motivation. One of my firmest beliefs has never been to, look for those short bursts of motivation, but to kind of build a design of habits that are intertwined within each other that will help me run a more sustainable routine that is rooted towards my goals. Because we don't rise to the level of our goals, we fall to the level of our systems. So the kind of system that you lay your foundation on, like your fitness journey, is what's going to actually propel you towards those goals you've been trying to reach. It's not like you are going to run 30 minutes of cardio in one day and then you're going to hammer out a workout for 2 hours. No, it's like you take a more disciplined and progressive kind of approach each day. You're like, let me improve 1%. Today, I'm going to time block all this time for the gym. And you realize it's just easier. You have this default setting of a routine that is going to help you without you even realizing reach your fitness goals. And the last principle is accountability. And because of my partner, Adam, partner in a sense of friend. He's a good friend of mine who I ran my kind of 3 month cut with. His progress was also phenomenal. He went from this to this, and he's the one who showed me that you need someone who is going to keep checking you every time you feel like you are not going to go according to plan, according to your dad. There's someone who is there who is doing the same thing as you and will remind you why you started in the first place. So that's what we are going to be to the people who sign up for this kind of program. We're going to be the people who are going to check you to make sure that you are not falling back on your goals. You are hitting the certain KPIs that we're able to set for you along the 8-week program. And just kind of trying to hold your hand and teach you while you also teach us. And we get that experience of that interpersonal approach, really learning from firsthand, like a hands-on experience with actual people, understand the nuances within people's different body types. And I feel like it's going to be a really exciting approach to the way we go about fitness and help you really understand that there is no rocket science, as I had said before, but it's just through these little small tweaks in your habits, in your knowledge of your diet, your knowledge of how you're supposed to train, that will actually propel you to your goals. So if this sounds like something that you'd be willing to get into, please get into the link in the video description. It's going to be a Google form. Just fill that out, get a feeling for what the coaching program is going to entail, fill in your details, and we will get back to you and make sure that it is worth your while and worth your funds that you'll be providing for us to incentivize our ability to provide our service. Thank you.
Everybody's great when they're not tired. Is when they tired, that's when the real champions come out. That's when the real dog come out.